Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the I Love Wrestling podcast. I'm your host, as always, Justin Woolwine, and today we're welcome back to the podcast, Maurice. How we doing, my friend?
Doing very well. How are you?
I'm doing good. Like I told you off here, I'm excited. You were, I believe, my sixth or seventh guest ever on the podcast. I was a slow learner when it came to the podcast game. So I'm here to give a rerun, make this better than the first one. I hope you have a good time, man.
Oh,
Um,
absolutely. Thank you.
Before we dive into all things your career, your fandom, all that fun stuff, would you like to shout out your social medias, upcoming events, things like that, just so the fans know where they can catch you?
Yeah, I mean, I'll be. You can follow me on Instagram and YouTube and all that. Maurice underscore Wrestle, Twitter. Maurice. I think it's Maurice underscore. I think it's Maurice Wrestle on Twitter. Pretty much Maurice Wrestle. That should pop up. Upcoming shows in February. There's Social X up in Iowa on the 21st. Galli Lucha, and I believe it's in Round Lake Beach. Or actually, I think it's at the Bourbon Eagles Club on the 22nd. ICW on the 27th. And then the rest of the year, got Galli, NRW, UCG, all those fun promotions. Definitely give us a look and pull up to your local indie event.
Absolutely. Support indie wrestling the best way you can, and that's by buying a ticket.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I saw, like, before we get into weeds things, I was looking at your social media. It looks like you're planning to try to take a trip down to Vegas this year for WrestleMania week. How's that looking for you so far?
Good. It was at NRW at the beginning of the month, and Hot Rod Daddy Andy was like, "Yeah, I'm getting a car together. Would you be interested?" I said, "Yeah, absolutely." So plan on going out. The only downside is there was supposed to be a show. There's a Galleys running the Hard Rock Casino in Rockford
Yeah,
on Sunday the 19th, I think, and that's when we're leaving. So I had to pull out of that, which really sucked because I really wanted to wrestle there because, I'm from Rockford area. So that would have been great. But, it's just, yeah, I got to sacrifice sometimes. And that was a pretty big sacrifice on my end. But
definitely.
you got to make it work. So that's what we're doing. That's the plan so far. It's me, him, and his family riding out
Perfect.
there.
It's cool. We I guess the first thing I could say we got in common is we are both kind of based out of the Rockford area. So I'm extremely, like, looking forward to that Galley show coming to the Hard Rock here in Rockford, Illinois. Just, do you know if that's something that they're planning to do more of, or is that just one off and we'll see what happens afterwards?
I, I have no idea, to be
You have no
honest.
clue.
Probably that. Probably see
Okay.
what happens.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Maurice, I always try to start at the same basic here on the podcast, just to get a foundation of what you're like as a fan. I mean, because
Yeah,
in true honesty, all of us, to get it into or to be associated with wrestling, you gotta love it. You gotta be a fan of it. So, Maurice, when did you find professional wrestling, and kind of was there a time or a moment that really made you, like, fall in love with it and say, "Hey, this is something I could pursue"?
I always knew about it through video games growing up. I just never knew how to watch it. And pretty much it was September of 2008. And it was Tommy Dreamer and Jack Swagger on ECW on Sci Fi. And I've been a fan ever since. It
Okay.
was, I kept watching. I was like, I kind of want to do this. But, like, realistically, like, I never did sports. I wasn't athletic. I didn't even do theater. So I just didn't think it ever happened. Then COVID happens and life's short. I was like, there's a school in Woodstock. I mean, if I don't make it, I don't make it. Well, as of this recording, it'll be my 5-year anniversary this Saturday. So, I mean, so
Congratulations. Congratulations.
I'd say I made it.
You're definitely making waves. I can even tell you from our last conversation and now, you've been all over the place.
Mm.
Like NWA Chicago, Only Wrestlers. You're doing fantastic things in Galley, which we'll dive into all of that. I just wanted to, I mean, while we're at it, just give you your props. 5 years, you've done your thing. I'm really excited to see what you do next.
Thank you so
Uh,
much.
so as far as, like, looking for a training school and trying to figure out the right place for you, as somebody who maybe wasn't, like, big into athletics and things like that, what was it like for you to try to maybe step out of that comfort zone and find a school for you? Or was it just something, hey, quick Google search, let's jump into this and see what happens?
I always got the ads on Facebook for the one out in Woodstock,
Okay.
and looked them up, and then the guy claimed he had some background, so I said, all right, let's do it. And July of 2020 through January of through August of 21 was pretty
Okay.
much my tenure there. I
Okay.
debuted in January of 21, and yeah, it was just one of those deals where I realized I was like, okay, I don't think this is the place to be, and I found CSW and moved there for training wise, and it was one of those deals where it's like, what sucked was Woodstock is only like a 45-minute drive for me.
Yeah.
CSW was about an hour and a half with traffic, hour 45. But in that moment, I just kind of asked myself, "Do you want to be a pro wrestler?" Which is funny because I'd been wrestling for like 9 months by that point. I was like, "Well, yeah." And he was, "Well, then you'll do it." And pretty much that's what I do anytime like there's something like Vegas, for example. Do you want to be a pro wrestler? Yes. Well, you gotta go do that. That kind of
Definitely.
deal. And for some reason, it just, even though, like I said, I've been wrestling for almost 5 years now, it's still a question that kind of like lights a fire. I was like, well, yeah, no shit, or excuse me, no kidding, and it works. So making it work. So yeah, I pretty much went to CSW. Was there for a few years. Then I went to Ice Pick with Vic Capri because I've known Vic for years and always been friendly with him. Considered him a friend. So I just went with his school after a while. Something different, and because like training at the same school I was from CSW was like August of 21 to September of 24. So it was a couple of years. So I was like, okay, I kind of want a different perspective, and Vic offered that. So went with Vic and still with him.
Perfect. I do want to touch on CSW because it's funny. Right after our last conversation, not too long afterwards, I got in touch with Axel Rico. Uh,
Mm,
huge fan of Axel. Done a lot of great things for the channel. Help open a lot of doors, including helping me get acclimated with those involved at Chicago Style Wrestling.
yeah.
Um, and I was very pleasantly surprised when I found out that you trained there. You did some shows there. You was there for you had a pretty good tenure there, and
Yeah, a few years.
I felt like I missed the ball when we first had our conversation on talking about Chicago style wrestling.
Mm.
So I mean, just overall, as far as training goes, we'll start there. What was your experience like working with them, and kind of what was your first couple interactions like with the infamous Steve Boz?
Boz, I'll always love Boz. Boz helped teach the basics and pretty much help teach me fundamentals because I really needed it. I wasn't bumping right. I wasn't rolling right. I didn't know how to do an arm drag. First place didn't. Yeah, the first place really.
Drop the ball.
Yeah, so Boss had to clean it up some, and Boss told me he's had to do that before with guys that came from Woodstock. So he helped me out there. Axel taught more advanced stuff, more spots for memories and such, which at the time was a struggle because just trying to remember everything. Now I'm good. Well, I still forget stuff, but everybody does. But yeah, we a lot better. The ring there's horrible, terrible training ring. To say the least, it's pretty much a low to the ground, old ancient ring that is you might as well be bumping on the floor. That's how stiff it is. I remember when they added new padding, everybody was, including myself, was really like, yeah. And I was one of those guys who was like, because like other people during the time would complain about the ring. It's like, oh, it's building a callus, yada yada yada, this, that, and the other. Well, when I switched to Ice Pick, I hadn't gone to CSW in like 6 months by that point. Danny G was like, "Hey, you want to come train?" I was like, "Yeah, I don't really go there anymore." He goes, "Hey, you can still visit." I'm like, "Okay, sure." So I went there, and no sooner I put my foot in the ring, I was like, "Oh no!" Like I felt the difference instantly from really any other ring I've been in, even the crummiest ones. And I knew I was like, I'm going to be so sore the next day. And sure enough, I was. But it just is what it is. But yeah, not great ring. And I remember one day Boz was like, "Yeah, one of these days we got to take this thing apart and clean out from underneath. I was like, Boz, you take it apart, it's probably not going to come back together because like it's one of those things that'll probably break halfway through. That's how old it is. From what I understand, I think it used to be a Windy City ring for like a low boy setting, or maybe it was their old training ring. I don't know. The one up at the Berwyn Eagles Club is also an old Windy City ring. And people complain about that ring, but I explained to them like that this is apples to oranges compared to the other one. A lot better.
So like as far as like when I'm sure like Boz sees the kinks in the armor when it came to your first training. It had to take some smoothing over. How long was it before you started getting on shows with CSW? Did you start in like the Futures Rumbles and things like that before you made it up to like the main card and stuff?
Oh yeah, my first week I was able to go. I did the Royals. I did the Royals, I think, for a good year. I remember I had a pre-show match with Doom, Montgomery, and then
I love Doom.
I love Doom. We beat the hell out of each other the past weekend. I remember that I won a Royal, and then I got on the main card when I was Moondog Murray, and went on there for a while. Then it started turning to like this month, last second, oh, you're gonna run in. Then it was a match. Then okay, last second, you're gonna run in again. And it was at the time I think I'm hitting the ceiling at CSW, so I opted to leave because I wasn't happy. And then come to find out, like in retrospect, I think it was me hitting the ceiling with the Moondog character because like I became Maurice not too long. I think when did I leave? I think it was May of 23. Might have been, but Maurice came June of 24. I usually I'm so good with dates, but yeah, but one of the I left one of those around May of either 23 or 24, and then I know Maurice either came a few months or a year later, but pretty much that was the gist of it. I'll get asked, will I ever go back to CSW? It was like maybe someday. I mean, it's not impossible. Just right now I'm doing my own thing, and like ICW Milwaukee runs a lot of Fridays that CSW is running, so I just been running with ICW because that's where Maurice was pretty much created, was ICW. It was Dysfunction's idea.
Nice. I've heard a lot of great things about Dysfunction. How did you end up getting the opportunity to go up to ICW and be a part of Dysfunction's dysfunctional family up there?
Yeah. Fourth Wall Wrestling, booked by Marman up in Milwaukee. I did a couple shows with them. That's where I met this. And then I think a year or two later, I hit him up. I go, hey, I'd like to come up if you got work. He said, yeah. I go, yeah, you can come up. And then like the week of, he came to me with the Maurice idea. And I was like, oh, okay. So I got a suit and showed up, and I showed up in a suit, and everybody there recognized me from Fourth Wall. They're like, oh, what are you doing here? Why are you in a suit? I was like, it's ICW, who's wearing a suit? I was told to wear a suit. And from then on, I wore a suit pretty much every show I went to. It's on one hand, living the gimmick. On the other hand, just one of those, like, show up nicely dressed. And I take pride in that, even if I look ridiculous, especially out in these summer shows out in the blazing sun. But, it is what it is. You got to do what you got to do.
It's really funny you say that, because I meant to. I saw you at Bloodstone, their inaugural event. You was there just watching, and I saw you in the suit, and I was like, I meant to go over and approach you, but I was one of the sponsors for the show, and I was like busy trying to make impressions, and I completely. But if you want me to be honest, me seeing you there was what made me get the idea. Hey, let's get Maurice back on here. I do want to ask, and I might have asked this in our first interview. You start off as Moondog Murray, and kind of like you mentioned, like maybe you felt like your career, or like maybe you hit the ceiling with that character as far as like CSW, and I'm gonna assume maybe even in other promotions.
Oh yeah, wrestling in general. Yeah.
Difficult for you to say, hey, I've invested so much time into this character and to get this character over, but I need to pivot. And what was your reaction when you was brought with the idea of the Maurice character?
I didn't know how to pivot. I just kept updating the look, and by the final Moondog look, they didn't even look like Moondog anymore. Okay. And so when Dis gives me the Maurice character, I posted a picture of me in front of the ICW banner, and it blows up on my personal Facebook. I was like, that's the gimmick. That's what we got to do. And like, I remember like throughout that first year of Maurice, I was doubting it. I'm like, oh man, maybe I made a mistake. But then like, no, I stuck with it. And literally anytime I thought maybe this was a mistake, someone comes up to me and goes, I like this gimmick a lot. Like even people who are like avid Moondog fans were like, we miss Moondog, but this is really cool too. So I'm always going to owe Dysfunction for that. And thank God, because like I said, it wasn't just CSW. At the time, I thought it was just CSW, but really it was wrestling. Because I got, it's just one of those feelings where like you just kind of know, and
Yeah,
like there's only so much further you can go without changing anything. That's why I always like update the looks and such. Like even with Maurice, I'm like chatting down ideas for like different looks and such, and Lord knows the boyfriend's constantly suggesting stuff. So like, so like, I'm always gonna look. I'm always gonna work on the look and make sure it's up to date and everything.
definitely. I've really like just going back and watching and looking at the evolution from Moondog to Maurice. Like you said, it wasn't something that just happened, switch. Watching like I said, the evolution has been really interesting because you could really see how you slowly phase out Moondog. And I don't know if that was on purpose or if it was just accident. But was it something as you changed things, the reaction got better and better, so you just kept adapting and developing, just really trying to develop the new persona?
It was honestly like a sudden thing. Like
Okay.
other places want me as Moondog, so pretty much the only people to really cash in on the Moondog pass was Powell, and weave it into the storyline when I did the feud with Mason Perks. Everywhere else, it's kind of showed up as Maurice, and people knew, the fans knew, and they connected the dots. And when I never shied away from it, but like people knew, like, wait a minute, he used to be Moondog, that kind of deal. And it just kind of stuck, nobody batting an eye really. I guess the only frustrating part was just getting everybody on board with it. Like Pow was one of the holdouts, Second Wrestling was one of the holdouts. Because they wanted Moondog, and I finally gave him the ultimatum, like, I'm not being Moondog anymore. I won't do it. I remember I tried doing it at Southland, and he wanted Moondog. At the time, I was like, all right. But then by 2025, by about the summer, I was like, no more. I'm done. I can't, because like anytime I was Moondog, towards the end of it, I was just like, I don't want to be Moondog. I really don't. Like, this is lame. Like it didn't. It was weird. Like it didn't feel like me anymore. It felt like I was trying to be something that I wasn't. And I mean,
Yeah,
and I'm not saying I'm not saying Maurice is completely me, but like it's definitely more so, the character I want to be, that kind of deal. The
definitely.
guy I wish I could be in real life 24/7, but obviously can't do that. But yeah, it definitely, I relate way more to Maurice now than I did as Moondog, because it's just, I've grown a lot since I first started wrestling, and I think this is a reflection of it, being a little more stern and cold, and kind of that sort of deal.
Definitely. Something, excuse me, that interests me about your career so far is just how far you've been able to get out and branch to new promotions. I feel like, especially in the Midwest, the Northern Illinois, Wisconsin area, your name's just about on every card. If we're looking at it, what was the process like for you to get out and get your name out there and to be able to make these appearances for all these different promotions so consistently?
You just got to work and pull up, help out, network, talk to people, be cool to everybody, and and send your resume out. Like no one's too big to send out a resume. Because like remember Hades, who booked CSW, he like, some of the name guys that get brought in message CSW with their resume. Mind you, some of these they've been in the WWE, they've been on top of the world, and here they are still sending resumes into indie shows.
Yeah,
So no one's above sending a resume, because like if you become that I want them to come to me person, I mean, sure, if you're one of those like I don't want to do many indie, like if I don't want to do that many indie appearances, I'd rather just have them come to me. That's fine. But like if you're someone who's like, I've seen people go on Facebook and complain about how they're not getting their opportunity. Oh, I put in this much work. I've done this. I've done this. I've done this. When wrestling doesn't owe anybody anything. And when it comes to getting what you want, you have to go get it. It's not coming to you. 90% of the time, it's never going to come to you. You have to go get it. You know, if you know you're that good, you have to show it. You have to show everybody that you're that good. You know, and yeah, you're showing everybody in the local feds, but like you still have to go out and show people because until you're a household name or until you've been signed and on TV regularly, like not many people are gonna flock. Well, I mean, not even that, because like you know, there's people like Effie who made a career out of on the indies, and people still hit him up for stuff and such. But like, I think you get the gist of what I mean. It's just like I can't stand when people are like that entitled and think that that wrestling owes them something or everybody owes them something. And it's like, wait, nobody owes you anything. You know, you're still, even if you're a huge part, even if you're a big cog in the wheel, you're still a cog in the wheel.
Exactly. I couldn't agree more. I mean, I know like that I know starting off this portion of the conversation, I know I'm just a podcaster, so like I'm not in the business, but I've had a lot of not a lot, but I've had a select few of individuals come to me and bigly and say like I'm not going to do this because of this, or we need to make these parameters fit, which I understand. But then there's a lot of you guys that come to it from the aspect of let's advertise, let's promote myself, let's get myself out of there, let's get the word out. And I think that's the most important part is the collaboration and being able to share stories, make connections, and grow. And
Yeah.
I think that's the most important part. That's the only way we all grow is if we work together to grow. Because the more you try to fight that wave and go against that grain, or don't do anything, that's whenever things get stagnant, and then you're making posts on social media asking why no opportunities arise.
Right.
And I mean, truth be told, the opportunity probably did present itself. You just didn't take it because you had to do some work.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and they didn't hand it to you, and then you will go on, and then you cry on Facebook, and then have to delete it 2 hours later because the comment section roasted you.
Yeah, they roasted you. X amount of promoters or whoever that have you on their show is like, kid, you could be a lot further if you just put in the work. It's all about doing the work.
Exactly.
Somewhere you've done the work at, and I've been having a great time really learning and watching these matches and moments is in Galli Lucha Libre. How did you get your foot in the door with them, and kind of what's the experience been like? Because I mean, if we think about it, starting from your training in Woodstock, going to CSW, even at Ice Pick, it's a lot different than what Galli's offering. Like those are all pretty much American traditionalized training schools. What's it like bringing that, you're bringing your style to Galli in that crowd?
It was Axel Rico hit me up. He said, "Hey, we're looking for guys for Galli. Do you want to start coming in?" Because like by that point, I did done LLT, I did All Star, and hadn't done either in forever. So there was enough time passed, and I was able to do Galli. So I said, sure. So I did the scrambles for a while as Moondog. And then when I made the switch to Maurice, that's when the tag team with myself and FXB came about. And then we started working Maiko and Septico. And Lucha Libre is difficult. And anybody that can master it is, why you see them on WWE and America in general is like, because like they are able to transcend not just the genre of lucha, but wrestling. That's why the ones you see in America are the ones you see in America, because like they're just that good and such. I've been to Galli practices. I go here and there, and it's intense and confusing at times. And there's also a language barrier, which maybe I could learn some Spanish if that's the issue. If it's that big of an issue, but it's certainly something. Again, it was just one of those. I just showed up, kept doing every scramble match they had and 6-man tag and whatever, and just kept going and going and going, and now regularly wrestle there in tag matches and such, which is great. I thoroughly enjoy Galli, and I have had a blast, and I feel like it's helped me really work with someone and really help me work with smaller guys, because like you kind of learn how to like accentuate their stuff, and I'm not as crazy and athletic as they are, but like I can at least throw in a pretty good strike or a big slam to like stop their momentum and like really work it a bit and slow the pace down until it's finally time for them to kick it back up, and then bam, 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 that kind of deal, which is great. So like that's been helping me learn that. It's also helped me, because like a lot of it is called. So like I went from not being able to remember stuff, which again, like I said, I still forget stuff, but not as often as I used to, because like I went from like, oh, no, only call this, this, and this to I could call A through Z, and then usually remember. It's usually remember 99% of it, that kind of deal.
Okay.
But yeah, it's not the easiest style to work with, but like if you can work it, oh my god, like because like I do want to be that guy who can work with everybody, because it's fun when you can, and you can make some really fun stuff, like the feud with Eros. That was a big challenge because, like, again, we're trying to meld our styles together, and I'm glad that the mask versus hair match we had ended up the way it ended up, because like we just both worked together swimmingly with the aspect of the no disqualification, and then the shenanigans on the outside, that sort of deal. So we got to do some smoke and mirrors and have a pretty solid main event.
Perfect.
I'd say.
I want to talk about that. You, like you said, you recently did mask versus hair. What went into the decision to put the hair on the line, and maybe how important would you say that match and that aspect of putting the hair on the line, and then ultimately losing the hair, will end up being to the evolution of Maurice as a character?
I want again. It was a case of I want to work with more Lucha guys and such, and get acclimated and such, and be able to figure out how to get better at working that kind of a style and the smaller style and such. I just had the idea one day, and I just threw it out to Carlos. I said, I like it. Okay, we can look into it. And then finally, we got to do it with Eros, and it's honestly added a new layer, because like I remember a couple people from ICW Milwaukee fans came down to Galli to see the match, and literally the next ICW show, I come out wearing a hat, and I just kept the hat on. But like throughout the show, people are kind of like, I kept seeing this from fans, like looking over at me, kind of like trying to see if they can get a look at my head. So finally, come out wearing the hat. It was me, Bobby V versus Dysfunction and Yeti Henderson. Literally, as soon as I came out, everyone's yelling, take his hat off, take off his hat. Because like my head was shaved and the hat stuck on like Velcro. So like it stayed on. You could yank it off, but like you had to grab it and pull it. So like it worked great like, in that aspect. So I just kept the hat on till finally he rips it off. And what sucks is like when I got the footage back, the kit, it's only a roaming cam, and it was focused on Dis and Bobby when it happened. So you just hear this random pop in the background and a Baldy chant, and no idea what's happening.
That's crazy.
I was excited to get that back, but oh well, it is what it is. But yeah, so it happened, and then so got a huge reaction because people are like, Baldy and everything. So it's been fun just keeping the hat on, like, no, you're not taking the hat off. Then the guy rips it, gets the big pop. So I've been running with it, and such. Haven't still got to get up a Galli show since the hair versus mask match to show off the baldness and everything.
Are you excited for the reaction that's gonna happen in when you make your way to the next Galli show?
I hope there's a reaction. Hopefully it's not like, what is he doing? Hopefully it's not a case of like, It's going to be in Round Lake Beach, which is where the match happened. So, and then there's usually a good crossover of fans that's coming to like every show. So like
Hmm.
someone's bound to really someone's bound to see it. So yeah, I hope it's a good reaction because like there's been plenty of times where I'm like, yeah, we're gonna get a big reaction, and then crickets. So like try to keep the hopes at a level, but you
Yeah.
know if it happens, it happens. If it happens, it's gonna be great. Make it a great moment.
Speaking of kind of reactions, I've been fortunate. I've been to one Galley show. I'd like to go to more. It's just tough being in Rockford, traveling all the way out there.
Yeah.
But like as far as for those who have never been or seen a Galley show, can you try to explain to them what it's like, the atmosphere at one of those events, and just maybe try to entice some guys and girls maybe to make an appearance at a future one?
Yeah, it's Lucha Libre. So like there's a good mix of American style guys though too. So like you'll recognize someone from like another show maybe, but like it's fun to see the Luchas go at it and just fly through. And then they bring in big names from Mexico, like the big AAA names and CML and such. And then they just announced a working relationship with IWRG, so like we'll probably see more of those guys as well. I know that right now the AAA thing is up in the air because of WWE buying them out. So I know Psycho Clown, a lot of the guys, a lot of AAA guys are coming into Galli to have one more match. So
Okay.
like we'll have to see what happens from here on. But we at least still got the relationship with CML and IWRG.
Definitely. I know, like, I've talked to a couple other guys about just like, especially Gally's relationship with CMLL, because you guys have done like collaborative shows where
Yeah,
it's a joint CMLL Galley thing. I've also heard like there were rumblings of maybe Galley and CMLL doing something down in Mexico, and then like it fell through. Um, like how important do you think that connection is as far as just getting the names out there for you guys that are associated with Galley?
CML is like top promotion in Mexico right now. Like
Yeah.
they sold their I think the big thing was they sold their millionth ticket for Arena Mexico, meaning like they sold a million tickets in 1 year to
That's
Arena
crazy.
Mexico. Right. So like if you want to talk about a product that's hot, it's definitely CMLL. And from what we see on AEW and Ring of Honor, like Hechicero, for example, like we you can see why, because like these are
Yeah.
amazing wrestlers and luchadors. Uh, honestly, any trip to Mexico, whether it be CMLL or DTU or IWRG or the Crash, would be huge for any guy from here, especially if you're a luchador trying to get out there. I want to say the Sabrinos were able to go out there the past year. That's
Okay.
why we haven't really seen them much in Galley the past year, because I guess I've been going out there. And then of course they're running those Galley shows there with CML at like Cicero Stadium and up in Rockford and everything. So that's another big opportunity for guys if they're getting on that show. The CML office is seeing them.
So, I mean, earlier we also spoke a little bit about your tag team with FXB, Black Sheep. How did that pairing come together? And so far, what's it been like for you navigating working with FXB? I love the man to death. I've had him on here a couple times. Um, he's an interesting cat.
Oh yeah, I know Frankie from training with CSW, and then we've been friendly since. And one day, I think we were just paired together one night, and the commentator David was like, he goes, "You two look good. You two look good together." He goes, "You should be called Devil's Fashion." I was like,
Hmm,
"Okay," because he
I
wore
like
this
it.
big like blazer coat, and I was wearing my blazer, and he's like, "That looks like a tag team." So he told Carlos, and Carlos came up to us. He goes, "Hey, what do you guys think?" I was like, "Sure, let's go for it." And then we got put together. I remember like one of our first matches as an official tag team was like Matt Nix and I Candy Elliott, and that was a fun match. It was Galli Navidad 24, and Nix was wearing a Grinch pants, and Nix was supposed to run in to break up a pin, Nick's, when he slides in, his bridge pinch gets caught in the apron. I remember me and Frankie both looked down at Elliot. We're like, kick out. He's not going to make it. Kicks out, and as he kicked out, Matt got unstuck. But it was fine. We were just all laughing about it afterwards. He said he slid and it just hooked to the apron. They were thick, furry pants.
I love it.
And so that was a fun way to start. And then I remember Maiko and Septico won the tag belts that same night. And I looked at FXB. I was like, there's our match right there. Sure enough, first defense was against us. Second defense was against me and Mini Sabrino for some reason. And then third match, I think that one might be my favorite match at Galli, is myself and FXB against Maiko and Septico at the La Hacienda out in Waukegan. Like, cause like we nonstop. We just boom, 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 and it was so fun. Got a critique from someone I trust. Anytime he watches a match, I always pull him aside. Hey, what'd you think? And he was like, he didn't like it because like psychology wise made no sense. It was just nothing but action, yada 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 yada. And I was like, valid. And he's completely right. He's correct. But damn it was still fun to do. So like,
was it over with the crowd?
Absolutely.
That's what matters.
But of course, I
get both ways.
That doesn't invalidate him at all. He's completely valid with that criticism too. But everybody in the match looked at each other pretty happy with it. So they're like, all right,
It's always fun kind of having that little debate like we just had, sort of like me personally, I enjoy some psychology in my wrestling. Lucha Libre fun shows are always fun because there is psychology in them. Don't get me wrong. But if you also just want some crazy, if you just want some crazy, outlandish, flippity doodah shit, that's the place to go. And like, I'm always a big proponent. If you want to get somebody to like draw into wrestling that maybe doesn't watch wrestling, Lucha Libre is the first place to start because it's just boom, 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 boom. And like a big example, and I've told this story a couple times, especially when talking about Galli. The one show I went to was for my brother's birthday. It was out on a farm. It was like a farm show out here, like in the middle of nowhere, just outside of Rockford. And we took my step siblings, and they know wrestling because of me, my dad, and family. We're all like, we love it. And so, but they haven't ever really watched it. And like, they were kind of like on the fence about it when we got there. And by the end of it, they want the flyer with everybody's autograph. They got masks. They're trying to get everything. And it's just because there's so much action. I don't know how I got off on this tangent.
Was this the farm show, and was it Durand?
I can't remember. I think it was in June of 23. I want to say.
Was the crowd weird?
It was weird. It was really weird.
I know where you were at because like I did a show there once, and me and Hans Carter beat the crap out of each other to a Symphony of Silence. It was weird because like even like the taco fests we do and everything, like even if the crowd had never seen wrestling or isn't into it, they were always enjoying it. It was like they were being held hostage watching the show. But like,
I know what you mean.
They were there for the musicians for sure. But it was like, it's crazy that they still didn't have fun watching the wrestling. Because even punk shows I've done that they're there to see the bands, they still got into the wrestling. So like, I just didn't. It was funny because like as soon as me and Hans finished out the door, there's a scramble, and I remember A and B, Mascara, Suicida, and a couple other guys were there, and I said, hope they like y'all more than like us. And they're all like, huh? Like 15 minutes later, me and Hans are just chilling, and in walks A&B. Oh my God, they didn't care. they didn't. He said he got one reaction off a chop and immediately grabbed a hold. He goes, we're milking that. Come here. I was like, oh my God, it was bad.
I love A&B too. It was funny because that Galli show also, I met A&B and his former mentor. The name's running off like top of my head.
He was Seymour Butts. The hell's his real name?
I
Yeah.
forget his name. But you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
I met both of them there, and I was going
Jimmy
through a little
Smooth.
bit. Jimmy Smooth,
Jimmy
yes,
Smooth.
Jimmy Smooth is the. I mean what I'm about to say in the nicest possible way. Very
Jimmy? Oh,
carny, and I
absolutely.
and I loved it so much.
That's why we love Jimmy. Like we love.
Um,
One time, Jimmy comes up to a Galli show. His hair, he colored his hair, and it was very obvious. I just went up to him, Jimmy. Who are you fooling with that hair? He goes, brother, I went to hair school and got done for $30. I was like, hell yeah, Jimmy.
he did his thing. It
I miss
was
Jimmy. Rest in
it
peace,
was
man.
great.
Uh,
Yeah, rest in peace, definitely. I mean, I know I still got his number in my phone because like I met him. I saw A and B, and like at the time A and B, he was a little smaller. Like he's not the
oh,
biggest
he was
guy,
skinny.
but he
He was a
was
twig.
super skinny.
Yeah.
And I look, I'm 5'6", 130 pounds, and like at the time, I was going through this weird midlife crisis, like which is crazy because I'm only 23, but like it felt like a midlife crisis.
Hmm.
And I was like, fuck it, I want to wrestle. I want to figure out how to do this. And I see A and B talking to Jimmy Smooth, and my dad's like, I'm pretty sure he's running this or something, which he wasn't. He was just there.
I think he
And
owned the ring.
yeah.
Yeah.
And well, he had like a booth or something. And we go up and we talk to him, and instantly Jimmy's like, put my number in your phone. We're gonna get you trained. We're gonna make it work. I'm not gonna like, do you crazy on pricing. We're gonna make it work. And like I really it's part of me like looking back wishes maybe I would have went and tried it. I didn't because just like I said, life was really weird at the time. It was right before I started this actually. And
Mm.
I remember getting A and B on here and talking about it. And it's just crazy how like doing this podcast, it's all come full circle. Cause like I met Quintero there at that Galley show. I met A and B at that Galley show. I met Hans. I met a lot of these guys there. And now being able to just watch you guys progress and evolve has been crazy. Even like we talked about Septico and Maiko, like I've had both of them guys on here. They're young, they're talented. Um, it's cool just to watch you guys progress and kick ass on the indies. If you just to give the rub a little bit more if I can.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Of course. I do want to ask a little bit about NWA Chicago.
Mm,
I thought it was really cool whenever it was first announced that NWA was going to do a territory here in Chicago. I'll be honest, I've yet to go.
mm.
It's once again tough to get out there to Chicago, being in Rockford. But how did you begin working with NWA Chicago? And what are some of the goals that you might have within that promotion as far as, trying to make it to the next level?
I did extra work with NWA proper. Ran tapings up at that venue, Studio One, and then Boz got linked up with them and pretty much got a lot of us extra work with them. They got some of us booked as well. So went to a show. So went to like show or two. Daisy Kill, before he got signed to NWA, he was in the Chicago scene, and I met him right before he made the switch to. I think he moved out to Tennessee to work to train at Dr. Tom's school.
Hmm.
So I got to meet him, and he remembered me and such, and he I think he saw my progress and knew. He goes, okay, we're gonna get you. So I ended up having a tryout match. It was me and Chris Miller versus Grayson and Balor.
Nice.
Instantly, I'm like, that's perfect. I'm like, I'm with people I'm with people I know. I'm with people I trust. People I'm not going to be nervous with. All right there in front of Billy Corgan, Brian Idol, Daisy, and whoever else was up there. Petrifying. I was still Moondog at the time, and had the match. Went good. Everybody said it was solid. Daisy called me and he said there was some preconceived notions when they first saw it. They went, "Oh God, here we go," and then had the match, and they're like, "Oh, okay." So I earned myself a pre-show match, and then it went on from there. I was left off a show, and I went, "Oh, that sucks." And I'm like, "Well, I mean, hey, look, I got to have my match at NWA Chicago. Whatever, it's fine." The Maurice thing happened, And last second, we're all added into this group chat about a battle royal. And I said, and they said, here's your guys' ticket codes. We need promos from everybody. So me being me, I was like, they left me off the last show. I don't want to be Moondog. I want to be Maurice. And like I looked at it as this, like, if they say no, if they kick me off or whatever, fine. So to the promos, Maurice, they collabed with it on Instagram, showed up to the shows, Maurice, nobody batting an eye. I ended up being, I think, the final four. And then from then on, I was booked on every show. And as Maurice, got to work Brian Idol, who was the NWA Television Champion. So I can say I challenged for the NWA Television Championship. Same belt Piper and Steamboat and Flair and all of them had when they were climbing up the ranks in the 70s. Pretty cool. So I've honestly had a blast with them. And I'm always going to thank Boz and Daisy and Brian, of course. And then, of course, Billy Corgan. I'm always going to thank them for that opportunity because, my dad, who grew up watching Georgia Championship Wrestling, got to see his son challenge for the television championship. Yeah.
Yep.
So, hell yeah. Right now, I'd love to be able to be NWA Chicago champion or at the very least challenge for the belt. And that's pretty much my big goal with NWA Chicago is win that title and such. Right now, I haven't heard anything about another show, so just waiting on that.
Yeah. I think we all are. I think we're all just waiting on the rumblings.
Yeah.
Speaking of, shows that I feel like, especially 2025, really made some big waves in Chicago. Only Wrestlers. They presented a couple events. Yeah, two, I believe, in 25 in Chicago. One at an interesting venue, say the least. What went into you being able to be a part of that? And what was it like wrestling in I believe it was a strip club or a strip bar, something like that? What was that like?
So I was listening to Rob Van Dam on Chris Van Vliet, and he was talking about Only Wrestlers, and he said, "Yeah, I got a show in Chicago coming up." I'm like, "Huh." So I emailed, I set up an Only Wrestlers page, and then I emailed the Only Wrestlers. I said, "Hello, my name is so and so. Here's my resume, yada yada yada." And then they got back to me, goes, "We might be interested. You have to have a Only Wrestlers page, yada yada yada." And I immediately sent them to already done. And they're like, "Okay, we'll be in touch." And then I think the same day they sent a flyer with my promo pic on it. And I was like, "Okay."
That was quick. Turn around quick.
The gimmick was to drive up. Traffic and pages and subscriptions. Was they got the local talent. Local, even though one was from Kenosha, and I think one was from Florida, but local. So, I mean, I guess I'm from Rockford, so I guess that's technically not Chicago either. But anyway, pretty much whoever had the most votes took on Moose in a 2-on-1 handicap match. The top two got it. So I didn't win that, but I was on the Royal. And I was the first person to send a promo, and immediately it was funny was I noticed like this person cut a promo and referenced because I made an introduction promo where it's like I'm the best dressed, I wear a suit to every show, yada yada yada. I'm not a slob or something like that. Watched another promo and they mentioned that they're like I don't have to wear a suit to show up to a show. That's already like okay. And then a second promo, somebody referenced it again. I was like, okay. And then in Estra, when we rode down there, he said, yeah, they sent your promo in an email saying if you could make a promo something similar to this. I was like, that's how everybody was seeing it. Okay.
That's good.
Which was cool. I'm like, all right, cool. It was at the Admiral Theater, never heard of it. I'm not familiar with Chicago, so a lot of those venues were like first time hearing about them or seeing them.
Yep.
Found out it's a strip club. Like, okay, cool. So I had to give the boyfriend a warning because, like, he doesn't want me in strip clubs. But I said, just so you know, the venue's in a strip club. He goes, why? I'm like, I don't know. It just is.
It's cool.
It was a really cool venue. I think they should run more shows there. The bathrooms are hilarious. If you know, you know. But we were in the locker room was where the girls on any other day would be. And we were we were reading the prices on like the lap dances and everything. They were like, you make bank work in this place. Like, oh my God. So,
Changing
but
careers.
right, maybe, just maybe. Probably not. But the show itself was chaotic, but it was fun. I had a blast. I remember me and Esther were downstairs and we were the final two, so we were kind of putting a little bit of something together. There's two exits. So there's the locker rooms downstairs, there's two exits. Stage left, stage right. Van Dam comes down stage right, and Van Dam had just had the ankle surgery, so he was on a cane. He was walking slow. And like when you meet the whole like don't meet your heroes kind of thing,
Yeah.
this was the exact opposite. Where like you meet your hero and you think less of him. In this case, I love Rob Van Dam even more after meeting him because he comes down and goes, "Yo!" And by the way, marijuana, obviously, marijuana smell surrounded this man. He goes, "Yo, guys, you know where the bathroom is? The bathroom was upstairs. He just came downstairs, so he had to go back up the stairs." He says, "Yeah, it's upstairs, pretty much where we're standing. Go up that stairs." And the door goes, "Oh, for real? Are you serious? Oh, whatever. All right." And he goes, "All right, guys." So he walks away, and he stops and talks to everybody. This was match 2, I think, when he came down. So we're match 5. We go upstairs, and we're waiting for match 4, match 5, whatever we were to end. And suddenly Van Dam comes up the stairs and then goes to the bathroom. And me and Victor look at each other and goes, he's just now getting up here to the bathroom. It was awesome. That man vibes. He's like, when you look up the definition of the word vibe, his picture ought to be next to it because
Definitely.
he was great. I loved him. He like RVD was great. I wish he was at the last one at the Logan Square Auditorium, but which that was my first show there, which was crazy. But yeah, Only Wrestlers as a promotion, it's I enjoy it. I've always had a good that's where I met Luke Hawks, and me and Luke have had good conversations. Charlie Haas was my agent for the Logan Square match, which
Phenomenal match, by the way.
Oh, thank you. But which I don't know, just I'm still blown away. The guy, because I played Here Comes the Pain season mode, and Charlie Haas and Shelton Benjamin were like, if you're at the tag champs, you're always wrestling them.
Yep.
So like it was just crazy. I'm like, I fought this man for years on the PS2, and here he is telling me what I got to do in my match. It was great. Which that in itself was a miracle. The match with the street fight. So this was a whole convoluted thing. We asked Charlie, we're like, hey, what weapons do we got to work with? He goes, I'll get back to you. Like, or like, okay, cool. A few hours go by, and we're like, any updates? No updates yet. We're trying to figure it out. I'm like, okay. And then I kind of looked at Victor, and we're like, what are the odds that there's no weapons? And like Victor, who's already like, he's like, I don't know. So they come to me, and apparently Jerry, the ref from Milwaukee, was supposed to be there to ref, and apparently he was supposed to bring the weapons. And Jerry always has weapons because like I call him the toy maker because he always supplies all the deathmatch stuff for the Insane 8. I talked to Jerry since then, and Jerry goes, all I knew was I was reffing. I didn't know anything about weapons. So someone wasn't talking. There's a lot of left hand wasn't talking to the right hand kind of deals. Thankfully, what did I have? I had a chair, a pan, like a big bread pan. I had something else. Javier, one of the Bad Hombre Cartel, he was there, and he went into a dumpster and pulled out a bunch of stuff. He pulled out a beer keg. He pulled out a broom. No, wait, I had the broom. He pulled out a bunch of stuff. He had a chain, and that we used in the match, and the only thing he wanted back was the chain. He says, you can throw the rest away. So like we had to like cobble something together, and we were able to, and honestly for what it was, we did great for everything we had to work with. And I think really the only thing that went wrong was like the Sabu chair, because like instead of doing like that, or just taking it head on. I did this, and it just bounced off my elbow, and Victor just takes that chair and cracks me with it. I'm like, oh God! And then I get up, and then he does it properly. Boom, and it was perfect. So now I know what to do next time someone wants to do a Sabu. I just hope and pray, just take it. Boom.
Yeah, just tuck your chin.
Pretty much. So it was solid, and we got good critiques from the agents and such. So good. So I love I hope they're running a Vegas show this year for Mania, because that'd be pretty cool. I know they're running a March 23rd show. I think March 23rd. They're running a show in March, I think, in LA. So hopefully they have something during Mania week. But if they don't, they don't. And I always have a blast working with only wrestlers. It's just fun to. Okay, so what do we do? Because how do we make it work? Because we got to make it work, right?
Yep.
And we did.
Do you think because I've noticed throughout our conversation here, your ability to pivot gives you a lot of opportunities to where guys who maybe don't know how to pivot maybe would fall short. Do you think that ability to be able to, improvise and make do with what you got is what's been able to also help you capitalize on the opportunities that you've been given?
Probably. Because I talked to some theater people, and they're like, they'll ask me questions about wrestling, and they're like, well, of course, they're like, so how often do you get to rehearse your match or whatever? And I'm like, how far in advance? I'm like, sometimes we don't. We just put an idea together and just go out there and do it. Sometimes we go out there and do it on the fly. And then what would get them was when I tell them, sometimes just it changes and you have to do something completely different. And they couldn't. They're like, they in a panic, like how could anyone do that? I'm like, you just do. It's wrestling. So it always changes. Anything can happen. Lord knows I work enough promotions where I'll have a match idea, and then as soon as I get there, match completely changed. I'm like, all right, cool. You just take it in stride, because what are you gonna do? Complain? Just stuff happens. People are late. People can't make it. A better idea might have popped up. That kind of deal. A great example was NRW the beginning of January. We were told it was me and FXB versus Jack Serious and Aaron Wolf. Then it turned into an 8-man tag. Then it turned to Aaron Wolf can't make it. We'll find can you find a replacement? So then Crimson Beetle came on, and Val Mystico was already going with me, so they booked him. And then it turned into, okay, so now it's going to be these 4 guys are doing a 4-way. These 4 guys, which was me, FXB, Val, and Beetle. You guys are in a tag. And again, it was one of those cases all right, cool. And honestly, I think it was the best result, because I dug the 4-way that came about, and then our tag match was fun. And we had a lot riding against us, because it was the Big Bear Packer wildcard game. So what was originally at 7 p.m. it got pushed to 5 p.m. And even then, people were still like, I'm staying home to watch the game. But so it was a small crowd. But I remember during the match, I heard someone go, "This is a good match." I was like, okay, perfect.
That's what matters.
Yeah, I'm like, as long as they're enjoying it, and we had a blast. We just had fun, just goofed around. Red sent me a funny little highlight of the match. I hope he posts, because I don't want to spoil it, but I hope he posts it, because it was funny.
Just as we're narrowing this down here, I got one more question for you. We are just about at the end of January. I guess as this comes out, will be starting February. With that said, we got 11 more months to roll out this year. Do you have any big goals for yourself this year? I know we've talked Vegas. You've made trips to California, things like that. What other big plans does Maurice have for 2026?
Mania the Mania week is definitely a big one. And right now that's the one I'm focused on. After that's done, we'll be focused on more. I got a year's worth of booking with Social X out in Iowa, and I want to be the best that I can be out there, because so far all the matches I've had out there have been really good and fun, and I'm excited to see what else we can do. I got a year's worth of bookings for NRW and ICW up in Wisconsin. So again, more things to excited for. I'd love to be in the Insane 8 for ICW. It'd be cool. If whenever NWA Chicago comes back again, would love to be able to challenge for the Chicago title. I think me and Mario Pardua would put on a pretty good match, I'd say. And then, if I can get a enhancement match or something with a major place, that'd be great. I'd love to be able to say I was on a major promotion, whether it be, get beaten by whoever. Cool. Works for me. I got a little bit of a taste of that when NWA ran Riot Fest, and I got to work. I almost said Aaron Xavier, Aaron Stevens, which again,
Nice.
10 years I watched him unveil a chocolate bar looking Money in the Bank at a SmackDown in Rockford, and now here I am wrestling the man for NWA at Riot Fest. First time ever at Riot Fest, and it's to wrestle. Max Sabbath was playing while we were setting up. Like, what is my life? It's so cool. And just a quick sidebar with that one. I remember when I did the match. After he worked somebody else, and he was giving pretty good critiques. But he was like, "You gotta work on this. You gotta work on this. You gotta work on this." And I remember being like, I was thrilled as could be after the match. I was on a high. I'm like, I did it. And I remember hearing him do the critiques, and obviously, if he's going to critique me, I have to listen. I'm going to be like, okay, because it's good for me. But I was like, oh man, I'm so on a high. I really hope he's not. I really hope he at least liked it.
Yeah.
And he goes, it was great, man. It was good. Thank you for listening. And he shook my hand, and then he called me a lumberjack. And the crowd, there was a smattering of people chanting lumberjack. So I turned to them and got the crowd to chant lumberjack. And he pointed at it and goes, "You doing that shows you can adapt." I was like, so now I left the room even more happy. I'm like, literally I kept doing that. I remember Katera looking like, what the hell's he doing? Which he worked Latimer for the NWA title. I was super thrilled with that. I'm like, that's so cool, but it was great. I definitely had a blast, and I would love to do it again, whether it be for NWA, MLW, AEW, WWE. I'd love to do it. Let's do it.
Sounds good, man. Thank you. Thank you for coming back. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to give a better interview. I was a little green the last time, so thank you for that. I think we had a blast.
Oh yeah.
I tend to do this often, if not always. If you're down for a part 2, give us a little update. Maybe we can see you on down the line.
Yeah, maybe a year from now, 6 months from now, whichever.
Okay. Maurice, I'm going to say thank you. It was an absolute pleasure. I'm excited to see what you got moving forward. I'm excited to be paying attention to your Mania week. Just keep doing what you're doing. Thank you so much. And I'll leave this to see you next time.
Thank you. See you around.